Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jason Avant. I'm here with my man Quintin Mikell. This is the Q&A show back on Inside the Birds platform. First show since the start of the league year. A lot of transactions that's happened, Q. Before we get into that, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. We want to say thank you to Inside the Birds and everyone that's involved, to Jeff and to Adam, to Josh, everyone that has us back again this year. Thank you guys, and to all the fans that's been leaving us tons of messages about when we're going to return and all these types of things. Thank you guys for tuning into the show, and thank you guys for the support. And I'm going to turn this portion over to my man Q so he can say what's up to the people.
What's up, everybody? Glad to be back. Excited for another fun-filled year. Can't wait to get started, man. Jay, I missed you, man. I miss seeing you, miss seeing your face, smile, and talking birds, man. So excited to get back into it.
Let's do it, my man. Let's do it. All right, let's dive right into it. First acquisition offseason that we're going to talk about, evaluation of the A.J. Brown trade. Happened during the draft time. It was a dramatic thing because the Detroit Lions stepped up to take Jameson Williams, and I was like, no! And then here comes the trade in, like they had it all set up and planned. What do you think about that trade, his strengths, his weaknesses? A.J. Brown, Tennessee Titans, now Philadelphia Eagles.
It's funny, man. Had a friend over, and me and my son and my buddy Tim, we were watching the draft, and I was like, because Treylon Burks was there. I love Jameson Williams, but I love what Treylon Burks was able to do. So, when the Eagles moved up, there was still Hamilton and then Treylon Burks, and I'm like, oh man, like what are they gonna do? Like I love the game that the way that Treylon Burks played the game. And so I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna be Treylon. And then all of a sudden we get the notifications on the phone. A.J. Brown was traded. Me and my son just went crazy, man. Like, yeah, he's a huge A.J. Brown fan, so he was super stoked about that. And I thought it was a phenomenal trade. I thought he brings not only is he a tremendous player on the field, but I think he brings the right mentality that you need to play the receiver position in this city and in today's game. You got to have that dog. You got to have that guy that's physical, that can run after the catch, that can go up and compete for those balls, those 50-50 balls. And he's just that missing ingredient that this receiving core has been needing, and we've both been talking about it. And I think it was the perfect addition to this receiver core.
The way that they play, I agree with your assessment. The way that they've been playing this game with a heavy run, you need a complement play action receiver. And because of the limitation of Jalen Hurts at this point in his career, getting a guy that has a history of having yards after the catch, that can make something happen with little, is only a plus for the offense. He's the type of guy that needs 60 catches, 65 catches, 70 catches to go over 1,000. He doesn't need 100 to go over 1,000. He doesn't need 80. He doesn't need 90 because, a couple of years ago, he was at 8.7, 8.9 yards per, after the catch with yards after the catch. Now, last year was a decline because he was hurt, but he's been a definite productive receiver, toughness, all of those things, definitely number one receiver. So now you get Devontae Smith, who's a route running extraordinaire on a number 2 cornerback. That only helps you out, right? So we got better with this trade from a lot of standpoint. And also Jalen Hurts' development. You see a guy out there that can run down that ball, that can make something happen after the catch, that can win one-on-one matchups. It only helps him out. So it's just good to see that they have gone all in for Jalen Hurts. They're friends. And so Howie and the team is going all in for Jalen Hurts. And that's what I think about this trade.
Absolutely. And, we talked about it early on in the offseason when, the Eagles came out and Howie came out and said, Jalen is our guy. I'm eating my words now because I didn't believe it. And there was time. I still think that they were still exploring a little bit, but with this trade, they definitely said, Jalen's our guy, and now it's his team. So
like I said, I don't necessarily know if that was the what they wanted is what they're dealt with the roster that we had, and also the players and where we picked in the draft, and just free agents wanting to come to the Eagles. You probably saw the picture beforehand and saying, Jalen's going to be our guy because there's not many opportunities that we have. But let's move on. It happened. It worked out. AJ Brown was good. Let's talk about the next signing, or it was before AJ Brown, but Haason Reddick, right? He's a local guy, local South Jersey guy, went to Temple. His role on his defense, we're talking about a guy that had 11 sacks in 2021, right? We don't have a high double-digit sack guy on our team, right? And then you come out and you get a guy like Haason Reddick, who's 11 sack guy, 2020 almost had 13 sacks, right? So a couple years back to back, there's some learning curve that kind of finally hit, kind of realized what he needed to do. And now these last couple years, we're seeing high productivity. Is that going to equate with the Eagles? And just talk about that signing as a whole from a defensive player's perspective.
Yeah, to me, I think it was a great signing. I think he's a guy, he's 6'1", 235, athletic, fast, will get after the quarterback, but also I believe he's multiple in the sense that he can play multiple positions. And it seems, and I know we're not going to get too much into the scheme stuff. We'll get back into that later on in the year. But, with this scheme and all of the different multiple fronts that they run, he has a lot of versatility. And I think that can only help with this team because, as we said, I still think that they're trying to figure out where they are defensively, scheme-wise. And, talk about a guy, meaning 30? He's got 31 career sacks, 11 forced fumbles. He's also a tackling machine. I mean, he gets after it. So yeah. I think he's going to bring the right fire. I think he's going to bring the athleticism. I think he's going to bring that mentality of, aggressiveness to the defense. And it was a great signing for me.
What more than a Philly type guy than a guy from Philly, went to Temple, wanted to play here. His parents and his family has been coming to Launch Trampoline Park for years, right? So I'm always talking to them about it. They're like, man, we finally got him here, right? So I know it's a dream realized for him. So I know that he's going to give 110% in order to stay here because this is where he wants to be. So I'm excited to see him play. I know he's going to add so many different elements to this defense. And then that talks into, it makes you wonder because, and I'll just say this, it makes you wonder what they're looking for and what they're doing. We talked about, we haven't talked about it yet, but there's a lot of skepticism and trying to figure out what the Eagles are doing with the 3-4-4-3 because you signed Derek Barnett back. You got Brandon Graham coming back. You got Sweaty there. You got Haason. The defensive line room is pretty crowded, especially defensive end position, outside linebacker position. It's pretty crowded right now. So only that bolsters this side of the ball. And I guess they're thinking, okay, addition to the D line will make up for the subtractions and the lack of, secondary. But let's see if it works. So yeah. let's look forward to it. We're looking forward to it. All right, next topic, Kyzir White. Signing in the summer. We're talking about a guy that started 17 games last year for the Chargers, LA Chargers. I was about to say San Diego because it's just weirdness there. Weird. All right, but Kyzir White, 17 games, has a lot of playing time under his experience, had 144 tackles. Now remember, when we're talking 144 tackles, it's not like these are solo tackles. Those are combined tackles, him jumping on the pile, all that type of stuff, right? So
those count too.
Those count, but they really don't count. All right, two interceptions, same game with versus the Ravens, right? 7 tackles for loss. We're talking about a guy that, 6'2", 230 or so. What do you see out of him as a player? I can tell you what I see. I don't see anything special. I think he's a solid football player that will contribute on special teams and also be in the running for a starting position or a backup, role filling in a sub package. I don't see him as a special player, but he's a solid veteran. That's what I see.
That's exactly what I see. I think he's going to be a good rotational player. He's going to be, a former defensive back, so he understands how to drop into coverages. He understands, reading route patterns. From a little bit of tape that I've seen, I can tell that he knows where to be, which is something that we talked about too with this group with the linebacker group last year, is that, understanding where the quarterback's looking, understanding where the route stems are going. So what I see from him is an athletic guy that can help on special teams, like you said, but also a guy that if he has to start a couple games, or if he's playing in sub packages, he's not going to be a liability out there, and he's going to be in the right spot at the right time. And I think that, again, this was a great addition. This is exactly what this team needed on this. This is exactly what this defense needed, is some guys in the back end that are smart, intelligent, that understands the game, that are athletic, that will hit you. And so I think this was another great move by the front office in bringing him in.
Okay. I totally agree with that. There's a lot of different, takes that we can go that way, but we're gonna try to keep that pace. We struck out Marcus Williams, safety, right? We struck out on a bunch of guys, Tyrann Mathieu. We struck out in a lot of different fronts when it comes to helping our secondary, right? So we had to sign Harris back. Let me say that right. So we have
I'm with you.
We have Harris, we have Kayvon Wallace, we have Epps. And we lose Rodney, which was a good addition to the secondary. That's when we started to see them shift and move and disguise coverages when Rodney came back last year. But we don't have anybody in the secondary besides Derek Slay. Avonte Maddox played well at spurts, especially in the slot. So you got two solid players in the back end when you normally play 5 or 6. Yeah. Are you nervous about this? And also, do we have enough in order to compete in the back end with everything else that's transpired around the league and also with our team?
Absolutely not. It's crazy as every good move that they made in the front seven. And I think they made some really, really good moves. The one position which was in the biggest of need, was the secondary. And not only did we not bring in anybody, but we let I'm blanking right now. We let Rodney McLeod walk. Yeah, Rodney. Mm-hmm. And so this right here was probably the biggest blunder of the offseason for me. I guess the deal for Chuck Clark, which would have been a great move, bringing Chuck Clark in from the Ravens. Mm-hmm. That would have been a great move. That fell through.
We could have drafted Hamilton.
I wasn't.
But we're going to get there. We're going to get there. Go ahead.
But yeah, for me, I think we definitely going to need to add one, probably 2 more guys. And we needed number 2 corner. You're going to need another safety. I was not thrilled with the safety position last year. You do have Kayvon Wallace, young guy coming up, and I do like Epps, the way he plays the game. But outside of those two, I'm not very enthusiastic about this group. And of course, Slay. He's Slay. Yeah. So
you got Slay, and you got Avonte, who's solid there. But everybody else is question mark. You got backup corners, McPherson, another few guys that are there, but nothing to write home about. Eagles weren't really interested in Chuck Clark, so reports have said. There's James Bradbury still hadn't made a decision yet. I don't think he's made a decision yet. There's been some reports that he's tied to the Cardinals, right? So the Giants let go of their, a couple years ago, Pro Bowl type corner player who's only 28 years old, will fit really well. The problem is that, remember, it's the outside perception of us. I know as an Eagles player and as a fan, coach, whatever, how we feel about the team, but the outside perception to other players is that this team is not winning right now. And when you have a guy that can choose his own destiny as a player, you can't pass up the opportunity when you have a chance to choose your own destiny to not go to a contender in his mind right now. Do I think that we're closer than more people should give us credit for? Yes. But are we in the upper echelon of the Bengals and the Bills and the Rams and the Bucks and these Chiefs, these teams that are have a legit shot? This is where a lot of these guys are ending up, is with these top teams, or like Tyrann Matthews or Jarvis Landry, they're going back home, right? So, so I hope we can get a guy like Bradbury. I think we can overcome the lack of, a safety if we can have Bradbury on the other side of Slay. I think we can make do rather than than not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one more point that I'm gonna add to that too. Secondary wise, I mean, we got Slay coming back. He had 3 interceptions last year. Rodney
Could have
McLeod
had
had 2.
7.
Could have had 7.
But
yeah. But outside of that, there is nobody in secondary that can turn the ball over. And this is a team that's going to need and rely on some turnovers. And so, you got everything ready up in the front 7. You got to have somebody in the back that's going to catch them interceptions. So
yeah,
you got to add somebody.
Yeah, and Bradbury can turn it over too. He's always near the ball. I always say that when I was watching him on tape is that unless it's like a speed guy, he struggles with speed guys, and everybody does. Like the guys that just can't, that are blazing. But if you put a guy on him that he can stay, 4-4 range, that he can put his hands on, he's going to be near the ball most of the time. Yeah. And that's all you can ask for from a second corner for sure. Let's talk about the Eagles draft. And before we talk about the Eagles draft, this episode of the Q&A show is sponsored by your boys store, Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. Please come out. We're at 1500 Omniscient Road in Deptford, New Jersey. We have laser tag. We have Ninja Warrior, all types of trampoline equipment. We have rock climb. We have an indoor playground. We have mini bowling. We have birthday parties, corporate events, food, pizza, whatever you need. Come check your boy out. The Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey.
So much fun in there.
Fun.
Dodgeball is my favorite. I'll be in there trying to, especially with my sons on the other side, I'll be trying
to destroy those kids. It's all fun until the mom there, the helicopter mom, the 7-year-old gets hit too hard with the ball and she ready to fight me at the front desk. And I'm like, Q, why you throwing the ball so hard? I don't really mean it, but I'm like, man, I'm sorry. We're so sorry. You didn't want your son to get hit with the ball. Really, in my mind, I'm thinking about you shouldn't have let him go to dodgeball if you don't want to get hit.
I know, right?
All right, here we go. Topic number 2, Eagles draft. Q. All right, we talked about it. The Eagles came in with couple picks. We gave one away to get AJ Brown. Jameson Williams, I thought, was our guy, and I think that they had a plan B. That if he was taken of AJ Brown, that's what I think. That's just hearsay. That's just Jason talking. So once that occurred, we picked Jordan Davis. What do you think about Jordan Davis? He's a mammoth of a man, a huge guy, combine warrior, and he shows up on tape. There are concerns about his health and his ability to stay in shape. Your overall evaluation of him. We know we need a secondary player. We do still have Fletcher Cox for another year. We do have Hargrave. The defensive tackle position seem a little bit secure, but is this the right position? Was this the right move to go after?
Yeah, I think in that position, I don't, with the Jameson Williams pick going one spot above, I think for me personally, like at the 13, at pick 13, you had Kyle Hamilton, you had Jordan Davis. In my opinion, I wasn't so high on Kyle Hamilton. I know he has a chance to be a phenomenal player. I just don't know if he was the right fit for this team and this defense. And in my opinion, usually if you go offensive or defensive line at that pick, you're going to be all right. And I know he has some there's worry about his health and staying healthy and keeping his weight down. But I mean, the guy is huge. I mean, he's phenomenal, and he can do so much more. He can add so much versatility to this defensive front. I mean, obviously his pass rushing needs to get a little bit better, and he can work on that. But I mean, just the sheer size of the guy and the strength that he has, he brings a lot and a different element to this group. And I know it's getting crowded. We talked about it. It's getting crowded in that defensive line room. But it's not a bad problem to have. You know what I mean? It's not a bad problem to have. So I'm okay with the pick. I like the pick.
And then see, now this pick here we're not going to go deep in this. This pick goes against historic Eagles defensive tackle requirements.
Yes.
We're never with the humongous defensive tackle. We usually like the guys that are quick off the ball, that shoot gaps, that kind of can get to the pass rusher, to the passer, kind of quickly and use quickness in order to win.
Mike Patterson.
Mike Patterson, Hugh Douglas.
Yeah.
Well, he was at the defensive end at times, but all of these guys that were interchangeable. Even Fletch, he can eat up space, but he likes to play through gaps. That's why he's disgruntled and mad, right?
Yeah.
At times, in Hargrave, for example, he got his sacks not going through people. He got his sack playing through the center or, shooting a gap, right? These guys that are a little bit quicker. And so on and so forth. So it kind of goes against and makes you think, okay, are we switching it up completely? And that's what it makes me think when you grab a guy like this that can eat up so much space. And Jonathan Gannon loves to be in a 2 shell, some form of 2, some form of 4. Do I need that space eater? Yep. This reminds me of the Williams brothers up there in with the Vikings many years ago. Those guys that eat up space, a great nickel, Antoine Winfield, that can play in the box, but they love being 2 and 4 behind it, right? So it gives me that vibe, right? It gives me that type of vibe. But this guy is definitely a great player, and we have somebody to replace Fletcher Cox with. So there's so many things we can spin off of this. But I love the pick. I wouldn't have taken a safety that high. That's just me. No offense, Q. Unless that safety can leave an imprint on the game where he's getting a ball back at a very high rate. Yeah. When you're talking that 13, 15 pick, we're talking about Tyrann Mathieu high. We're talking Bob Sanders, who's going to be down in the box. Mm-hmm. We're talking, guys that can cover Minkah Fitzpatrick, that can cover a ton of ground. Earl Thomas, when they're coming out, we're talking to those guys that can totally change the game for you. And I didn't think that Kyle Hamilton did that to me. I think he's a good, solid player, maybe late first round, maybe early second round, but not that high.
Yeah. And 2 points I'm going to say about that too. With Hamilton, I like his size. I think he's a tall, rangy player, but in today's game, it's going to be difficult because you're talking about a guy now, the size will make up for all of the shiftiness, but these tight ends nowadays, they can move. These slots, they can move. And I'm just not sure him being that tall and lanky, how quickly he can, change direction to be able to guard those guys.
He's not a fast guy. And that's the thing that people don't know. Like, he's a guy that plays with anticipation. Anticipation gets you a long way, right? Gets you a long way, but you got to be able to run in the back end. And when you're a 4'6" guy, it's very, very hard to be a free safety and to get places that you need to be. We talked about the great free safeties in this game right now, the Minkah Fitzpatricks. Earl is not there anymore, but Jesse, these guys can run, and that's the thing. They're 4'4", 4'3" guys that can get there. I don't necessarily know if he can get there. That's just my evaluation. All right, we can.
Yeah, so let me
go. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about. We just kind of hashed that one. So our second round pick, Cam Jurgens. Honestly, I'm gonna say I didn't really know much about him before the pick. Obviously, after the pick, I went online and did my research. Supposedly he's going to be the eventual replacement for Jason Kelce. What are your thoughts on that pick?
Right, so he was endorsed heavily. Right, because this is the thing that you love, right? Whenever you see a pick like this, second round pick, you know that Jeff Stoutland has something to do with. And I don't know if we have a coach on our staff that has more pull with Howie than Jeff Stoutland. And I think it's because of the success that he's had up front, right? He's been able to mold Jason Kelce. He's been able to get Isaac Seumalo to play well. He's been able to sub a bunch of guys in and still get it done. All these injuries we had Super Bowl year with linemen shifting around, he's been able to make things happen with lesser talent. And there hasn't been any excuses from his group, no matter who plays and what happens, right? Getting Dillard at times to play well. We've seen what he's done with Mailata, right? So this guy has a bunch to say. And I think it's a direct correlation between who Jeff Stoutland is, Jason Kelce signing off on him. And from what I hear, that he checks all the boxes for Jeff Stoutland. And when you look at him on tape, and here's my evaluation of him on tape, very quick player, technically sound. Like when I'm talking about when it comes to reach blocking, it comes to pulling, it comes to he's not going to make a false step when it comes to being technically sound. Plays with great pad level. He's a little bit of a catcher in the pass game, right? He doesn't deliver blows, and it's going to hurt him eventually. He's bigger than Jason Kelce, right? Taller and more weight on him. But he still has the same problems, Jason Kelce. If he has a very dominant Jordan Davis type of player that's a big brute guy that's built to stop the run, he'll struggle in that area, but he plays through the whistle and he's nasty from that standpoint, right? So those are all good things besides the pure power and strength, right? But he's quick, he is explosive. He just doesn't have that ability to hold up for a long term with a bigger guy. But you don't need a center to do that. Yeah, he has help, right? You need a center to be able to be smart, be able to reach people, be able to assist, and get things started and be a great technician. And that's what Cam Jurgens is. And so I love that. And here's the other thing. He's going to play.
Yeah.
Now, Jason Kelce will be with us. Jason Kelce will be with us this year. And you can and so here it is. You got Mailata, left side. You got Dickerson, left side. You got Jason staying in place. Seumalo and Jurgens are battling it out for a starting position. Now, Seumalo is the veteran. He has the upper hand. But this kid behind him can play some freaking football. And you need all best players on the field. We've seen that once Dickerson got that spot, it didn't go back, right?
Yeah.
I think Jurgens has that ability because Seumalo ends up hurt a little bit, and before you know it may be Jurgens and Lane Johnson on the right side. I think that's a very, very possible, very plausible outcome.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
I mean,
and I say this last year when people were saying, I don't know if Dickerson going to play. What I said, the kid going to be on the field playing.
Yep,
He's going to be on the field playing. When you draft guys that high, they're going to play.
You're right. And he played well, man.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So, yeah. So, all right. So here, this is one of my favorite picks, man. I was like,
all right.
I didn't know exactly how this happened and how the Eagles were so lucky for this. Can you tell me what your thoughts on getting Nakobe Dean in the third round?
This is one of those, out of all the slap rock, bad luck, just misfortune that the Eagles have had when it comes to drafting. It seemed like finally somebody's praying grandmother, something happened on the draft day of the Eagles for a lot of things to go right finally. And this is one of those picks for me. The Eagles didn't deserve this pick because this kid is definitely a first or second round player, but something happened where the Eagles, God was like, look, I'm going to look down on this organization. I'm tired of them just making buffoons of themselves. Let me just give it to them this time. And I think this pick is definitely that for us. So I feel in this draft, we have at least 3 starters within the next year or so. Mm-hmm. And I think we got a chance at a 4th starter with the pick afterward. But let's talk about Nakobe Dean, right? Everyone knows that he's a smart player. this kid has that innate ability to find the ball through trash. And it's a hard thing to do. And it reminds me of London Fletcher when it comes to just ciphering through the minutia in order to get to the ball. The kid has that anticipation, and he has that ability to get through traffic. And he's explosive. Now, when you look at him on tape, you say this kid runs a 4.4. He goes out and runs a 4.74. But he vertical jumps a 41. And he has a short shuttle time, 4.2, 4.3 short shuttle time. That lets me know that he's one of those guys that has great anticipation, and his first couple steps are so explosive. You think he's running a 4.4. Yeah. And I think that's a great ability to have, because remember, it's not always about how far you can run at linebacker. It's how you can anticipate and your first couple steps to get to the ball. So I think it just translates very well. He dropped because of a pec, some injuries, got hurt during training, didn't get surgery on his pec, so he dropped down. And he also under 6 foot, right?
Yeah,
has short arms. So these are things that people are looking like, it's not going to translate to NFL. But for us, I think it's a blessing in disguise. We get a first round level talent with Jordan Davis, with Hargrave, with Fletcher Cox. So if he is undersized, have small arms, how many times are the offensive linemen going to be able to reach you with those 3 guys in the middle of you or 2 guys up front? It's going to be very, very hard for people to get to the second level to be able to block this guy. And with his anticipation, he's going to be able to beat a guy with his agility, not necessarily with his power, but with the agility, he can beat him. So I think that he's going to play at some point, because he's a better player right now than Davion Taylor. He's a better player right now than Kyzir White. I think that the body type of TJ Edwards and what he's bringing along, I think it's going to be hard to beat him out, but he's going to play outside linebacker at least, not outside linebacker, but one of the off-ball linebackers, weak type linebacker. Yeah. So that's my thought.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, everything you said was spot on. And I think if he had to play, in a couple years, if he had to play in the middle, if you got Jordan Davis and you still got Hargrave in that front 4, like you said, I think he can still play the one. I mean, he can still play the Mike linebacker, but I think he starting off, he's probably going to have to play Will. And I think he's going to be phenomenal. I mean, I can see him just shooting gaps. I can see him running around, offensive guards and tackles. I can see him blitzing and just making plays. I can see him in coverage, dropping the coverage, a smart player, knowing where to drop. So I thought this was a phenomenal. I remember watching the draft and I was like, I can't believe he's still there. And I did hear about the pec, but I'm like, even still, man, like like you said, first round level talent. And I was just praying that they didn't mess it up and pass up on him. And they did.
Short linebackers are like short men in real life, right? The girls always passing them over. Yeah, it's just how it is. It's like a good dude, you're gonna pass over because he ain't 6 foot tall, and that's just how it be sometimes. And for a linebacker, they do the same thing. Play the game, doesn't have all the measurements of 6'3", 6'4". He can't see all that stuff. Some people know how to get to the ball, and just like that, some of them little dudes know how to get it done. Ladies, give them a chance. That's just how it is.
I'm a short dude, so I know what it's like, man. The pain. I've got a double whammy. I'm short and bald, so
Hey, listen. When you bald ain't a bad thing. Michael Jordan opened the door for us, baby. I wanna be like my.
Oh man, that's funny.
Oh man. All right. All right, go ahead. You go ahead right along, Q.
All right, so I think you kind of hit on this earlier. So, what do you think of Kyron Johnson and I guess there were 6 round picks? Kyron Johnson,
Calcaterra, yeah,
I can't say his name.
Yeah. All right, so both picks in a nutshell for me. Kyron Johnson, I actually love this pick because it adds more versatility. This gives a 6'2", 225 type of guy. He played predominantly defensive end at Kansas. He generated just wreaked havoc, getting to the passer, very good rusher. So if you ever want an outside linebacker type, he is that type of player. So in the future, he can become a starter if he develops the right way. Because he can play the outside linebacker. When he was asked to go in coverage, he did that really well, fly around. Like I said, he's a 4-4 flat type of guy. So he has 4-3 ability to be that big. So we know that he's going to be a mainstay on special teams. Mainstay. Right off the bat, he's going to be one of our high volume special team players in the middle of the field, run down on kickoff, punt, all those things. He's going to be one of those guys. So right away, he's going to add that value. And I think that in the future, he has the ability to be really good because he has some very natural pass rushing techniques. So just a very versatile player. And so I think that this is one of those players that if you want to go 3-4 or 4-3, he's going to be able to add value to you somewhere in the future. So I think it's a great pick.
I like it.
All right, Grant Calcaterra, right? So let's give you the history. So this guy's played with Kyler Murray and Jalen Hurts. He was at Oklahoma. He's been in a Lincoln Riley offense. Got into a lot of situations where he had concussions. Didn't know if he really wanted to play the game because of getting hit. He's a very good route runner. He's the quintessential pass catching tight end. So he's going to add some flavor to us in the passing game because he is a big kid. He runs well, 4.7 guy, flat type of guy. He runs well for a tight end, catches the ball extremely well. However, for a second tight end, he does not hold up well in the blocking game. Yeah. That generates problems for us because now we're forced to have Dallas Goedert pass block because he's such a dynamic pass blocking tight end as well as an offensive threat. So I think that we need to just solidify the second, tight end as a pass blocker and let Goddard go out on routes all the time. So when you have this guy, yeah, you can add some versatility, some versatility down the line, but I don't know if we have enough room for another pass catching option there, especially when you got AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Miles Sanders, Dallas Goedert. There's only so many people that can get the ball. So just take some of the headache off of yourself by designating the guy, hey, man, you're in just a block, man, and everybody else is this. And that's what I think. But I like him as a player. I do. I just think that he's limited when it comes to holding up against the run.
Yeah, I agree. When I saw the pick, to me, the first thing I thought was this is a project. I don't think long term he's going to be the answer. I think he can, like you said, he can add some versatility. Maybe if Goddard goes down a little bit, gets injury, which he has done in times, he could probably step in and help there. But yeah, he cannot block well enough to really help. So we'll see. I've been wrong many times before, so we'll see.
Yeah, he's always been in the slot. He's always been a detached tight end. So that's limited. When he went to SMU, he kind of revived his career, but we didn't know if he was going to play football. So he's a couple big hits away from reconsidering again. So we don't necessarily know. So like you said, it's definitely a project. Yeah.
All right. So we went through the draft. All right, we went through the offseason moves. All right, let's talk about the big picture. All right, big eye view of the Eagles. How does this team look in your mind compared to they were the team at the end of last year?
All right, before we get to that pick, we're going to talk about Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey one more time. Come on down, Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. Come check it out with your boy. I'll be on dodgeball if you want to get beat in dodgeball, or in our new court that's coming out. We're having a slam ball court there. It's coming out early. The kids going to have it. And we have Valo Jump coming. Q told me to get Valo Jump a couple years ago when you're out and visiting another park. So both of those attractions are coming soon. So in the next couple of months, they'll be up. So come on out with your boy, Launch Trampoline Park in Deptford, New Jersey. All right. Where are the Eagles in comparison to last year? Where are they now? I think the Eagles have taken bounds. We were a mediocre team last year that happened to make it to the playoffs. We didn't deserve to be there, and it showed in our first game versus the Buccaneers, which we got thrashed and beat at every aspect of the game. I think that we are a legitimate playoff team now that will pose a threat to any and everyone that we face. We have a chance of winning the game. Remember, we're really strong in the areas that matter, and we're even stronger in those areas now. Offensive line, we improved with Cam Jurgens. We improved defensive line, Jordan Davis, Haason Reddick, right? So we improved, exponentially on both of those sides of the ball. And then one of our weaknesses last year just became a strength.
Yeah.
Receiver. The receiver position. We got a bona fide number one receiver. So now that just takes a lot of pressure off Jalen Hurts. That takes a lot of pressure off Devontae Smith. Takes a lot of pressure off Quez Watkins, and those others. Dallas got that takes a lot of pressure off people. Now you have to literally game plan for him. You leaving guys, on lesser talented players. So I think that we're leaps and bounds better. Are we a championship team? Overall championship team? Not yet. We're still we're still secondary players away.
Yeah.
And we're still quarterback play, which is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
All of this is contingent upon Jalen Hurts' development. So I don't care if we get the Jalen Hurts that we got last year, and I don't care what was done this offseason. We're going to be out in the first round. So his development is the key to the offseason, whether we made these picks or not. But what do you got to say about that?
Yeah, I mean that's the key. I think this team is definitely a much better team, more explosive team, more aggressive team, a team that wants to win, a team that I got the feeling that I got the feeling with the additions that this team is starting to have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, which is what this program, this city. The Eagles, like the entire city has always been about. And I feel like it's starting to get that edge to them again. They're starting to compete more. They're bringing in guys that are competitors, guys that want the ball, guys that want to, finish blocks. And so I agree. The two biggest keys are the secondary and Jalen Hurts. And I think he's going to take a step forward. I think when you bring in players that compete like AJ Brown, when you bring in players that want the ball, that will go up if it's a bad throw, if it's an inaccurate throw, he's going to go up and get it. He's going to make the quarterback right. I think that goes a huge way in the development of a young player like Jalen. So I think this team is definitely better. They still got a little bit ways to go. I think it's a playoff level team, like you said. Just not quite there at the championship level, like you said. So I agree with everything you said, man, and I'm excited. I mean, it's been a few years now. We haven't really been feeling too positive going into the season or the OTAs, and it's good to have some positivity. It's good to feel like, okay, this might be a chance to have a pretty successful year. So
yeah, I definitely think this is it. Like I think going right along, like can they compete in NFC East, right? I think that there are one or two teams in the NFC East that has a legit shot, and I think the Eagles are one of them.
Yeah.
It just with roster. Our last year, it was more of our heart.
Yes.
It was more of our will. It was more of the offensive line and defensive line grit that kind of carried the team, but it wasn't our roster. Our roster is just as good as the Cowboys now.
Yeah.
Our roster is just better than the Giants, better than the Redskins. Our roster is that. We don't have a bottom third roster. We have a top 15 roster now.
That's huge.
And that's now, like I said, everything that has happened does not matter unless Jalen Hurts has developed. Jalen, I love me some Jalen Hurts. I want him to thrive. I love him as a player. I love him as a person. I love him as a leader. Has to be able to spin the ball. AJ Brown is your best friend right now. He ain't getting that ball, boy. Turned into T.O. fast. I'm telling you. No shots at T.O. because T.O. just love him some him.
Yeah.
It's okay. There's a lot of people that love them. Get that man the ball, make it happy. I done seen some good athletes get mad because their ball ain't coming the right way.
Mm-hmm.
So if we want to make this thing work, and you want to keep Devontae Smith happy and AJ Brown happy and Dallas Goedert, yeah, we're loaded at the skill position. You know what makes the skill position ineffective? They don't touch the ball.
Ooh.
So some got to give, and I just hope that he's on that pack, and I believe from everything everyone's telling me that he's developing, and I just pray that to be the case for the city and for him as well.
No.
Big question, Q. Big question. Different scheme.
Defensively,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Last question.
So, judging from the picks, I will say. So I'm going to say this: judging from the picks, this looks like we're going to an odd front, a 3-4 front, 50 front. I think it's pretty much the same thing. It's funny. I was going to say this: Jordan Davis pick for me solidified it, because to me, you think of when I thought of Jordan Davis, I remember thinking, okay, he's a perfect New England pick. He's like Richard Seymour, zero technique, right in the middle, space eater. And so when I saw that, the Eagles picked him, like, okay, well, now we're going to, our front. And, obviously all the other moves kind of keep you guessing. So I think the scheme is still going to be multiple. I think it's going to lean more towards a odd front, 50 front, 30 front. To me, they're essentially the same thing.
Same, yeah.
And so, and I'm okay with it. My only problem with odd fronts is that a lot of times it puts the secondary in a bind. It tends to end up being kind of a bend don't break defense, which with the secondary being the way it is right now, it's not a good sign. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it as long as the scheme is consistent, as long as the ideas and the approach is consistent. If you come in one week and you're running a 4-3 and it doesn't work, the next week and you're running something completely different, there's no continuity there. Mm-hmm. So as long as he has a plan, as long as the plan is executed each week and they stay and they continue to see that plan out and develop and not try to, freak out about too many different changes and different schemes and different blitz packages, as long as he stays true to himself. I'm talking about defensive coordinator
Jonathan
Gannon. I'm okay with it. This wouldn't be what I would pick, but I'm okay with it. So get a plan, stick to it. Let's roll.
I agree. The two most successful odd front defenses probably of our generation has probably been the Steelers with Dick LeBeau.
Yeah.
Right. And probably the Patriots. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Two different philosophies. Right.
Very.
One was heavy blitz.
Mm-hmm.
One is heavy reroute and can play man off of it.
Yep.
I don't see us doing either one of those things great. And that's where I am with it. If we are, we gotta get the players to be able to do one of those two things better if you want it to be successful. Our front teams, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of the additions, Reddick, I think if it is more of a Dick LeBeau type scheme, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But if it's a New England scheme, like you said, we are going to get tore up.
Yeah, because New England is going to be heavy in their zone. They're heavy reroute teams. People don't get down the field all that fast, or they can play man to man behind it. Right. I don't see us doing that well. And historically, Jonathan Gannon hadn't been a blitzer, a guy that takes chances. And Dick LeBeau is the king of rolling the dice, which is what I said. Those are the two most successful odd front defense of our generation, of our generation. And I think, can other things work? Yeah, it can work. But, those are the two standards that I think of in my mind.
Very true.
So
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
What about? So tell me real quick about the offensive scheme. What do you think about the offensive scheme?
I think I kind of explained it last, with my last comment about the offense, right? So I think that we're built more for running the football still because Jalen Hurts' development still to be we don't know. We don't know where it is.
Yeah.
So I think that we have to be a run play action team. But if we're a run play action team, like the Tennessee Titans, where AJ Brown came from,
Okay. Yeah.
we just seen Julio Jones go to the Titans. That didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many guys that can get the ball when you're running, and use your catch, play action. Think about it. The Ravens, 2 receivers get the ball. The tight end and Hollywood Brown got the ball. Nobody else is even irrelevant because you run the ball so much, and when you play action, the tight end is open, and you may take a shot down the field with the other guy. Will that lead to another receiver, Devontae Smith, not being happy? Does that lead to somebody not being able to get the opportunities that they need? Those are the types of things. Unless you're willing to spread it out, that's still to be determined. We know that Nick Sirianni comes from spreading it out a little bit. Yeah. Can he run it? Yes, but he can spread it out too. I think that's what he wants to do. Would Jalen Hurts be developed enough to do that? Again, we spend a lot of resources. Jalen Reagor, Devontae Smith, J.J. Arthur-Whiteside, Hightower, Quez Watkins on receivers, only to be a run-first offense. I don't think that's the vision of the whole thing.
Ooh, that's a good point, man.
I
didn't even think about it like that.
They've been putting a lot of resources in to be a track meet, and they can't be a track meet and a high, scoring offense. Well, you can be a high scoring offense. I take that back, but you're not doing what you've been drafting to do, and you're bringing guys in to do. It's just hard. So hopefully we'll see. We'll see in the first couple games where this is going to be. If we're going to be the team that they want to be, or the team that we have to be in order to win games. And the team that we have to be in order to win games, as of last year, is running the ball first and play action off that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's why I am. Q, it's always a great time with you, man. It's a good thing getting back together. Great seeing your face. I'm glad you're doing well. We'll definitely be rapping each and every week. So the Q&A podcast is back. We're here for at least a 5-week period. We'll see where we go after that. If we're going to take a little break for the summertime, I may need to go to a different country to get me a little salsa in or something like that. Then I'll be back ready for the season.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Always great talking to you, to our friends that are behind the scenes, Hunter and Josh and Adam and Jeff, everyone that's responsible for the Q&A podcast, where, again, we're on Inside the Birds platform. Find us on YouTube, Inside the Birds YouTube channel, Amazon, Facebook, all of our social media. Check us out, and we'll continue to bring what we have for you for the Eagles' upcoming 2022-2023 season. Hopefully Super Bowl champs. But I just want some good quarterback play and a solid year. I think we're going to be 10-11 win team this year, so I'm looking forward to it.
I'll take that. Shoot.
Yeah. Great.
All right, man. As always, Jay, it's great, man. Peace. See you guys there. See everybody next week.